9 stupid diet mistakes that are killing your muscle gains. When we talk about diet, we often fall into absolutist thinking. If our goal is to lose weight, we simply cut calories and eliminate processed foods. If we want to gain muscle mass, we increase calories and add some supplements to our shopping cart. But is building muscle or losing fat really that simple? Can we reduce nutrition to just 2 processes that anyone would understand with a few minutes of research on the internet? The answer, as you might already imagine, is no. And that's why so many people reach a plateau in their results. If you're training hard, but no longer see progress in the mirror or in weights, the details might be the problem. That's why today, you'll see 9 diet mistakes that are silently sabotaging your muscle mass gains. Stay attentive until the end because number 4 is the most common. Error number 9. You cut carbohydrates at night. One of the most persistent myths in the fitness world is that we should avoid carbohydrates at night to avoid getting fat while sleeping. This idea has gained so much strength that many people end up going to bed with low glycogen reserves, harming their progress without realizing it. Sleep is our golden window for protein synthesis. During these hours of rest, the body enters an intense anabolic state. This is when most muscle recovery and building happens. But this process fundamentally depends on available energy. Without adequate levels of glycogen in the liver and muscles, the body simply cannot activate anabolic processes efficiently during the night. Instead, it may enter a mild catabolic state, where it begins to use muscle protein as an energy source, exactly the opposite of what we want. Research published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition showed that individuals who consumed carbohydrates at night presented better hormonal response for muscle growth, including higher production of growth hormone during deep sleep. It's important to clarify a point. Not eating carbohydrates at night is different from not having very heavy meals close to bedtime. This latter recommendation makes sense, as heavy digestion can impair sleep quality. However, a moderate portion of complex carbohydrates, such as sweet potato, oatmeal, or brown rice, consumed 2 hours before sleeping, can indeed enhance your nighttime gains. Error 8. Consuming excess protein all at once. Imagine the following scenario. You went many hours without eating because you weren't at home or for any other specific reason. It can happen, right? Then, upon arriving, to try to compensate, you quickly ate 80 grams of protein all at once. Unfortunately, human physiology doesn't work like that. You won't be able to compensate for a diet poor in protein throughout the day with 1 or 2 gigantic meals. The body has a limited capacity to process proteins for muscle synthesis at a single moment. Several studies show that the limit for most people is between 20 to 40 grams of protein per meal, depending on body size, age, and other factors. Anything beyond that will not be used for muscle building, but rather converted into energy or, in some cases, simply eliminated. Think of your body as a production line of bricks to build a wall, which are your muscles. If you deliver 500 bricks at once, the workers can only use a small amount, and the rest sits idle or is discarded. But if you deliver 40 bricks every few hours, the wall grows consistently throughout the day. The ideal approach is to consume between 20 to 40 grams of high-quality protein every 3 to 5 hours throughout the day. A study conducted at the University of Texas showed that distributing 80 grams of protein in 3 meals throughout the day resulted in 25% more protein synthesis than consuming the same amount in a single meal. This happens because you're maintaining a constant flow of amino acids in the bloodstream, optimizing muscle building. Error 7. Lack of good fats. In the quest for the cleanest possible diet to accelerate results, many people drastically reduce their fat consumption. However, healthy fats are absolutely essential for muscle building. A well-balanced diet for muscle gain should contain approximately 20 to 35% of calories from good fats. First, they are fundamental for hormone production, especially testosterone and growth hormone, the main anabolic hormones of the body. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism demonstrated that men who followed diets with less than 20% of fats had significantly lower testosterone levels compared to men with adequate intake. Additionally, good fats have a powerful anti-inflammatory effect, essential for post-workout recovery. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish like salmon and sardines reduce muscle inflammation, accelerating the recovery process and allowing you to train with more frequency and intensity. Fats also play a crucial role in the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins, all essential for general health and muscle function. Vitamin D, in particular, is directly linked to muscle strength and athletic performance. Sources of healthy fats include avocado, extra virgin olive oil, almonds, nuts, walnuts, fatty fish such as salmon and sardines, and eggs with yolk. Error 6. You're taking too many supplements. The supplement market is a billion-dollar industry that thrives by making you believe you need dozens of different products to achieve results. We see influencers displaying their shelves full of colorful containers and promising that each one is essential for progress, and that without them, you won't be able to get the best possible results. The reality, however, is quite different. The vast majority of supplements have minimal or no effect on muscle gain when compared to fundamental factors: proper training, basic nutrition, and sufficient rest. When you're taking 5 different supplements, it becomes almost impossible to determine what's really working and what's just draining your wallet. This overload also creates the false sense that you're doing everything right, when in fact you may be neglecting much more important aspects of your routine. That's why we always make it clear that creatine is one of the rare examples of supplements with solid scientific backing. It cannot be obtained in significant amounts through normal diet, and studies consistently show benefits for strength and hypertrophy. Other supplements with some evidence include whey protein, but always for convenience and not necessity, and in some specific cases, pre-workout caffeine. A study from the University of Queensland compared 2 groups of trained individuals, one using only protein and creatine, and another using these same supplements plus 5 other popular products. After 12 weeks, there was no statistically significant difference between the groups in terms of strength gain or muscle mass. If you're currently taking many supplements, consider doing a detox and going back to basics. Focus on getting nutrients from real foods. Keep only 1 to 3 supplements with solid scientific evidence, and redirect the money saved to better quality foods. Your muscles and your bank account will thank you. Error 5. Not paying attention to micronutrients. While most discussions about diet for hypertrophy revolve around macronutrients and calories, micronutrients are often ignored. Micronutrients such as vitamins and minerals are the biochemical catalysts that allow all metabolic reactions to happen in the body, including those necessary to build muscle. Even mild deficiencies, which don't cause evident clinical symptoms, can significantly reduce your ability to gain muscle mass. For example, zinc is crucial for testosterone production and immune function. Studies show that athletes with suboptimal zinc levels present a reduction of up to 30% in protein synthesis after training. Magnesium, in turn, is involved in more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, including those related to energy production and muscle contraction. Low levels are associated with greater fatigue and less recovery capacity. Vitamin D deserves special attention, as it functions more like a hormone than a vitamin. Research from the University of Birmingham demonstrated that correcting vitamin D deficiencies in athletes resulted in strength gains 10 to 15% greater compared to the placebo group. And surprisingly, it's estimated that more than 70% of the population has suboptimal levels of this vitamin. The problem is that almost nobody checks their micronutrient levels. Most people rarely do specific tests to identify these subtle deficiencies that don't cause obvious symptoms, but impair performance and results. The solution is not necessarily to take supplements blindly. Do specific tests so that deficiencies can be corrected, either through intelligent and targeted supplementation or by adopting a truly varied diet with foods of high nutritional density, colorful vegetables, fruits, quality meats, eggs, seafood, and leafy green vegetables. Error 4. You eat too close to your workout. Many bodybuilders believe they should consume a complete meal shortly before training to have energy. When you consume food, your body redirects blood flow to the digestive system to process what was ingested. This means less blood available for the muscles during exercise, resulting in less capacity to generate force and intensity, besides making it difficult to achieve the famous pump. A study from Loughborough University documented that athletes who consumed complete meals less than 1 hour before training showed a reduction of 15 to 20% in the capacity to perform sets to muscle failure when compared to athletes who ate 2 to 3 hours before. Beyond the blood flow issue, training with a full stomach significantly increases the chances of unpleasant side effects such as reflux, nausea, abdominal cramps, and even vomiting during high-intensity exercises. The ideal approach is to consume a balanced meal containing lean protein and complex carbohydrates approximately 2 to 3 hours before training. This ensures that digestion is practically complete, but that you still have energy available for an intense workout. If you train in the morning and cannot eat so far in advance, an alternative is a small, easily digestible liquid meal, such as a protein shake with banana about 60 minutes before. The liquid form is digested more quickly and causes less discomfort. Remember that the goal of training is to create the necessary stimulus for muscle growth, and this requires maximum intensity. Any practice that compromises this intensity, such as training with an overloaded digestive system, will limit your results in the long term. Plan your meals strategically around your training schedule, not the other way around. Error 3. Not adjusting your diet on rest days. A surprisingly common mistake among people seeking hypertrophy is maintaining exactly the same diet on both training days and rest days. This completely ignores the different metabolic and hormonal demands between these days. On training days, your body has a significantly higher energy demand, not only for the energy spent during the exercise itself, but also for the increase in post-workout metabolism and for the recovery and protein synthesis processes that are accelerated. In contrast, on rest days, your total caloric expenditure may be 15 to 25% lower. Maintaining the same caloric intake in both scenarios can generate two opposite problems: either lack of energy for proper recovery if your diet is calculated for rest days, or gradual accumulation of fat over time if it's calculated for training days. The ideal approach is to adjust your caloric intake according to the demands of the day. On training days, prioritize carbohydrates in greater quantities to provide energy and optimize insulin response, a hormone that facilitates the transport of nutrients to the muscles. On rest days, a slight reduction of 10 to 15% in total calories with emphasis on proteins and good fats can optimize hormonal recovery without promoting unnecessary fat gain. A study from the University of Connecticut with natural athletes showed that those who followed a nutrient cycling strategy, adjusting carbohydrates and calories between training and rest days, presented better body composition after 16 weeks compared to those who maintained the same diet every day, even consuming the same weekly total of calories. To implement this strategy, consider increasing carbohydrates by 20 to 30% on training days while keeping proteins constant. On rest days, reduce carbohydrates in the same proportion and slightly increase good fats, which are essential for hormonal recovery and anti-inflammatory processes. Error 2. You're still consuming too much sugar. Many practitioners justify the high consumption of simple sugars with the need for carbohydrates for energy, or taking advantage of the post-workout anabolic window. The reality is that chronic consumption of refined sugar directly impairs your ability to gain lean muscle mass through multiple mechanisms. First, excess sugar causes sharp spikes and drops in blood glucose levels, resulting in inconsistent energy throughout the day, and especially during workouts. Even more concerning is the impact on insulin sensitivity. Insulin is often called the most anabolic hormone in the body for its ability to transport nutrients to muscle cells. When you consistently consume excess sugar, cells gradually become less responsive to insulin, a phenomenon called insulin resistance. A study from the University of Massachusetts demonstrated that individuals with greater insulin resistance needed approximately 30% more protein to stimulate the same amount of protein synthesis compared to individuals with normal sensitivity. In other words, excess sugar literally reduces the efficiency with which your body uses protein to build muscles. Additionally, refined sugar increases systemic inflammation, impairing recovery between workouts and potentially increasing the risk of injuries. Research from Stanford University showed elevated levels of inflammatory markers in athletes with high sugar intake, even when compared to other athletes consuming the same total amount of carbohydrates, but from complex sources. This doesn't mean you need to completely eliminate sugar or even simple carbohydrates from your diet. Reserve simple carbohydrates for strategic moments, such as immediately after intense workouts, when your body can use them more efficiently. Another solution is to obtain most of your carbohydrates from complex sources like sweet potato, rice, oatmeal, and whole grains. Error 1. You eat too clean. There's an obsession in the fitness world with eating clean that, taken to the extreme, can be counterproductive to your goals. Many people religiously avoid any food that isn't considered pure. No oils, simple carbohydrates, fruits with higher glycemic index, or anything minimally processed. The result? A chronic caloric deficit or, at minimum, insufficient energy to sustain consistent anabolic processes. The inconvenient truth is that significant muscle growth requires a controlled caloric surplus. You need to consume more energy than you expend to build new tissues. This extremely restrictive approach also creates an unhealthy relationship with food and drastically increases the chances of giving up. Nobody maintains a diet that feels like punishment for very long. A study from the University of Toronto showed that bodybuilders who incorporated flexible foods in their diet, following the approach of 80% nutritious foods and 20% more free choices, presented less psychological stress and greater adherence to the diet in the long term, without significant differences in body composition when compared to those who followed 100% clean diets. The solution is to find a healthy balance. Focus your diet on nutritious and unprocessed foods, but don't be afraid to include more caloric and tasty options when necessary to reach your caloric goals. A flexible and sustainable approach always beats a perfect diet that you abandon after a few weeks. And if besides diet, you also want to learn about 11 errors that people don't even realize they make inside the gym and that throw their workout in the trash, we have a video appearing right now on screen showing and better explaining each one of them. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching until here, and may God bless you, my friend.